Welcome to Career Journeys, a series of videos by the Consortium for Public Education. Here we explore the career experiences and pathways of professionals from a wide variety of careers to help you think about the skills you'll need and the paths you might take after high school.
Hi, I'm Sarah Brooks with the Consortium for Public Education, and today I am interviewing Morgan Livingston, Agricultural Innovation Manager of the Greater Washington County Food Bank. Thank you for joining us today, Morgan. We're so excited to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to share about what I do.
Can you explain really what's the Greater Washington County Food Bank and what is the role of the farm manager there?
Yeah, so Greater Washington County Food Bank was started in the 80s. It was basically a response to the economic downturn that we saw in this region with the steel mills and some changes in the local economy. And there was a lot more need for a emergency food service in the Washington County area. So we started at that time as a nonprofit and have continued to grow since then. About 5 years ago, we moved to our current location, which was actually a former grocery store building that had gone out of business, unfortunately. But we were able to acquire that building. It has almost 30,000 square feet, which is now our warehouse. We have a thrift store, which brings in income to the food bank, a training center where we do classes, obviously our administrative offices. And then that property came with a 24-acre farm property that wasn't really being used anymore, but had previously been a farm. So the leadership at the food bank kind of got to thinking of how they could do something innovative with this resource they now had. And basically they came to the conclusion to start a farm to both produce fresh produce for the community to distribute through the food bank, but also to be able to do some agriculture education and almost kind of educate young people in the community about the opportunities in agriculture and the local food movement to kind of sort of create another economic opportunity in our area, because the local foods movement is really growing in Western PA in general and definitely in Washington County.
And what specifically do you do as the farm manager?
Yeah, so I do a lot of different things. I kind of manage the program, and it was a brand new program when I started. I was the first person in that full-time role. So a lot of it was strategic planning, figuring out which programs to roll out and how to guide those, doing securing funding for the program. So I do a lot of grant writing and grant management. But then also I do the hands-on stuff with actually running the farm. So I am involved hands-on in running our hydroponic systems, our orchard, all the crops that we grow in our field. So I'm doing everything from kind of the programmatic side to the hands-on farm management.
So specifically for your path to this career, how did you end up as a food manager?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I grew up on a farm, and both sides of my family still have family farms. So I definitely grew up with kind of just hands-on experience doing that. I actually went to undergrad and then got a master's degree in social work. And I did work as a social worker for a couple years out of college, and really enjoyed the social justice aspect of that, and the client interaction and stuff. But I still just that background in agriculture, just kind of my passion for that kept pulling me back. And when I finished my master's degree, I was looking to move closer to my family farm in Western PA and found this opening. And I felt like maybe the nonprofit social work experience might kind of tie in with the agriculture background I have. So yeah, I applied for it and I've been here almost 3 years now.
What about your current position do you really love?
I really love everything with the farm management and the hands-on aspect of things. Farming is a lot of, yes, it's hands-on work and hard labor, but it's also, there's so many tie-ins to science and soil management, biology, understanding life cycles of plants and insects and things like that. So it's always a challenge. I'm always learning something new, which I really enjoy. I try to stay up with like best practices in sustainable agriculture. So I really enjoy just the constant learning and using both my mind and my hands to get stuff done. So I really enjoy that, and I enjoy like anything with ag education, teaching students about agriculture and about the careers that are available with that. So yeah, those are probably, and like networking just within the industry and with other young farmers and other people doing good work in sustainable ag. That's all the stuff I really enjoy about it.
Right. Would you say, with your history, your current position, and then your history of family farming, how much of it is really a sustainable focus?
Yeah, I think there is kind of a broad range of like practices that are considered sustainable, and kind of what the definition of that is. But I think it's just as we see our climate change and things, as individual farmers, we need to really look at what are the best steps that we can take individually on our own farms to reduce our impact, and hopefully increase the health of the soil and water and land instead of take away from it. And that is going to look different for different farms, because you do have large farms growing corn and soybeans for livestock and things that are transitioning to organic or no-till or doing things like that. You have farmers, if you have animals, you're probably looking at like regenerative grazing, rotational grazing, stuff like that. And then with what we're doing here, I'm looking at the best ways to manage specialty crops, produce, things like vegetables and fruits in a way that has the least impact on the environment. So it may seem kind of broad, but it's more just like looking at having the intent to be a caretaker to the earth and finding whatever the best practices are that you can implement on your farm.
You have a particular interest in the intersection between food and racial justice. Can you tell us a bit about that and how it informs the work that you currently do?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely racial injustice is something that has unfortunately been a big factor in agriculture for a long time. There's definitely a long history of people of color being denied access to resources, especially like capital loans, the things that they would need to purchase land and run a successful business, on top of course, all the other discrimination that people of color deal with. And we see the trickle down effect in both like the economy and the opportunities available to those communities, and as well as like the amount of healthy food that's available in different communities that don't have access to it. So I think one of the biggest things we can do is support the organizations that are already doing work specifically focusing on racial injustice and the food system. And actually in Pittsburgh specifically, we have some great organizations that are doing that work. A couple I'm familiar with are the Sankofa Community Gardens, which has at least one garden in Pittsburgh where they employ students. They teach people how to grow their own food. They focus on foods that might be like culturally relevant to their community, and just provide a lot of opportunities and education there. And then there's also the Black Urban Gardeners and Farmers of Pittsburgh Co-op, and they also kind of organize a lot of these different smaller initiatives and provide education and resources. I believe they have their own small farmers market. So those are a couple organizations locally that people can check out. And there's also an organization out of Baltimore that is doing a lot of work across the nation as far as education, advocacy, and kind of elevating the voices of people of color who are involved in agriculture. So definitely would encourage people to check that out and support those organizations. Oh, I'm sorry, I was just looking up the name of the organization in Baltimore is the Black Church Food Security Network, which actually that came about because as they were looking at the food issue in Baltimore, they realized that a lot of the land that was owned by the Black community happened to be churches that owned property. So they specifically focused on the network of churches as far as access to land, access to social resources and things like that. And now they're doing great work across the country.
What questions should people ask themselves if they are considering a career in the field that you are in?
Yeah, great question. So I think if you're going to be involved directly in like farm management, you definitely need to ask yourself if you're willing and if you enjoy like working outside and kind of the physical labor aspect of it. I think you need to be kind of aware of like self-care and taking care of your body, being smart about how you're working and that sort of thing for kind of for your own longevity in this field. But also, you don't necessarily have to do the kind of the physical hands-on part of agriculture. If you're someone that is really interested in science or technology, there are a ton of support careers or kind of supporting industries, whether it's working in like biotechnology, in laboratories, in ag science and agronomy, working with all the technology, because now so much of our equipment is automated. And there's so many like software programs being developed to help farmers track their inputs and their property. So you don't have to be like someone who wants to do the hands-on part of it, but just like being aware of those opportunities and trying to get hands-on experience is helpful, I think.
Last question, what is one piece of advice you would give someone aspiring to do the work that you do?
Yeah, so I would say agriculture is such a broad field. So first of all, just try to do your research, talk to different people that are involved in agriculture. There's different organizations like the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau or the National Young Farmers Coalition that have farmers that are involved with them from all kinds of different parts within agriculture that can talk to you more about their careers and what they do. I would definitely encourage them to look for hands-on experience. Even if you are in the science and tech area, you can probably get an internship where you're learning experience in that area. So I would just tell them agriculture is so broad and so interconnected. It would be worthwhile to go try to get hands-on volunteer experiences or internship experiences and try to see different parts of the industry. And if you're interested in volunteering or interning at the farm, we can definitely talk to you about that. So.
Thank you very much for your experiences and for sharing those experiences, Morgan. And we really appreciate it. Just thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
For more information or to learn about other careers in the Career Journey series, visit our website and check back soon for our next installment. Thanks!